Hello and welcome to this video explaining the skill selection for the Hellborn Melee Psycho. So the point of this guy is to boost his damage reduction as much as possible so he can tank and wear damage and keep healing himself back up to full and all that stuff so he can run fights for as long as needed. With Krieg, there are three skills that provide damage reduction to him. The first being Release the Beast at the bottom of the Mania skill tree. So when you're at critical health, and when I say critical, it's below 33% of your HP, you can activate Release the Beast to turn into a badass psycho. This will heal your health back to full, give you some damage reduction and increase your melee damage. In the Bloodlust skill tree, we have another skill called Taste of Blood. This will increase your damage reduction depending on how many Bloodlust stacks you have. And in the Hellborn skill tree, we have a skill called Numbed Nerves that will increase your damage reduction when you're on fire. And on top of this, we have a damage reduction from the shield we have equipped. The Rough Rider will give us an additional 20%. Now, when it comes to stacking damage reduction, so we got 50% from Release the Beast and we've got 50% from Numb Nerves. If you were to add those together, you have 100% damage reduction. You should be immune to damage, but that's not how this game works. If you were to get 100% damage reduction from a single skill, you will be immune to damage. But when you have multiple sources, the game will calculate it one source at a time. So it'll reduce it by, say, the incoming damage by Release the Beast. It'll give a new value that would then be carried through Numb Nerves, which will give a new value, which will then be carried through, say, Taste of Blood. I'm not sure about how it chooses the order, but what I can say is you will never fully be immune when you are using multiple sources of damage reduction, and there is a diminishing effect where, say, if the damage has already been reduced by Release the Beast and Numb Nerves, then that 75% on Taste of Blood won't actually do as much, but it will still do something. Now, to make yourself a little bit tougher, we've got points in Feed the Meat to increase your hit points. This is supported by the Rough Rider, which also increases your max HP, and we have a relic to increase the max HP further there as well. As it's supposed to be a melee psycho, we've gone into the Mania skill tree. We're increasing melee damage through Empty the Rage, Salt the Wound, Silence the Voices, and you get some bonus melee damage from Release the Beast. We're also a Hellborn Psycho, so that means we're going, let's go melee damage in the Hellborn skill tree. Pain is Power will increase your melee damage when you're on fire, and Fire Fiend will give your melee attacks a chance to light yourself on fire, which will give you the bonus melee damage from Pain is Power as well. So you get 50% melee damage when you're not on fire, you get 100% melee damage if you are on fire. Now with the Hellborn skill tree, this is all about dealing elemental or status damage. You got Burn Baby Burn will increase your fire damage. Fuel the Fire after you get a kill will increase the chance that you will apply a status effect to an enemy. We talked about Numb Nerves before. We've got Elemental Elation will increase your fire rate, and you can accumulate stacks of Elemental Elation while you are on fire. Now that one's supported by Embrace the Pain, which will also increase your fire rate, and fire rate can be really handy with this build because it increases how fast you can throw your axes. Got Delusional Damage, which means that you can use other elements, not just fire, to cause yourself to light on fire. So when I'm running around between Release the Beast rampages, I can use slagging weapons to light myself on fire. Flame Flare will keep those on fire bonuses going for longer, so the burn on yourself will last longer, burn on enemies will last longer as well, and there's a chance that those burns will be reapplied. Elemental Empathy provides some healing for dealing elemental damage, and Raving Retribution means that when you're on fire and you take damage, it'll shoot a homing ball of fire at your opponent, which will deal fire damage, has a chance to light them on fire, and you'll get healing from that through Elemental Empathy as well. Now in the left skill tree, these first two skills aren't, they're not big changes on the character, but I have split 1 point into Blood Twitch and 4 points into Blood Filled Guns. blood-filled guns is really good for rocket launchers because you won't need to reload them because they'll have so many rockets in their magazine. And blood twitch is actually, people underestimate this, but when you're getting kills in BuzzX Rampage and you come out and you need to be able to swap to a slag weapon and deal some damage before you activate your next rampage, blood twitch will support you to do that. The reason why I've split these like this is because I can use different class mods with this build. So that will give me an additional 5 points on blood twitch, but I'll only get the benefit of those 5 points if I have one skill in 1 point in that skill already. But the whole point of putting points in the first tier is to get to Taste of Blood so we can get that damage reduction there as well. Now the other class mods that I use, first one we've got equipped is the Legendary Sickle. That boosts your melee damage mainly by putting points in Silence the Voices, which gives you an additional 250% melee damage. It also gives you 5 points to Pain is Power, which increases your melee damage there as well. And Empty the Rage, but the other class mods kind of give you Empty the Rage anyway. The other class mods you can use is the Torch class mod. In the Torch class mod, you're sacrificing your melee damage for burn damage. The other benefit of the Torch class mod is it increases your fire rate through Embrace the Pain and Elemental Elation, and put some points into Flame Flare, so your on fire effects last longer, increases your burn damage through Burn Baby Burn, and you can apply those status effects a lot easier. This one will turn you from a up front close combat melee psycho to an axe thrower, so you'll be able to throw your axes quickly. You won't be dealing a hell of a lot of damage, but you'll be dealing enough, and the main benefit you get from here is by dealing more status effect or fire damage, you'll be getting more heals from Elemental Empathy, and this will keep you going longer in a fight. The other option you can use here is the Legendary Psycho class mod. It's not as effective as the Legendary Torch, but it still gives you some extra burn damage on the class mod, and also by boosting Burn Baby Burn and Fuel the Fire, so you can apply those status effects more easily. This is where you also get points in Blood Twitch, so you can swap between your weapons quickly. You won't need to reload as often because you'll have bigger magazines, and you still get a very small bonus to melee damage through Empty the Rage. So those are the three class mods you can use. Between the three, I probably prefer the Torch class mod, because this build wasn't about dealing damage, it was about staying alive for as long as possible. Some other ways you can support that is when you're not using BuzzX Rampage, you can use Moxie weapons because they provide some additional healing. I've intentionally not, I've got a slow hand here, but I'm not using it on this build because I don't want to receive too much healing outside of my BuzzX Rampage. So I'll be using my Barking Snider to slag enemies between rampages so that when I do activate Release the Beast, I can hit them a lot harder. So the purpose is between those rampage, slag as many enemies as you can. If I do want to deal damage with my guns, the double penetrating Unkempt Herald is really useful here, and because of the additional points to fire rate through Elemental Elation and Embrace the Pain, that will melt enemies as well very quickly. And sometimes having a rocket launcher to get yourself up can be useful. Bada Boom, World Burn, Nukem, these are all good options. One thing I should have said with the Snider here, I've got this one equipped just to sort of make a point. It's not about the rarity of the weapon when you're slagging, it is all about the slag chance. So a blue sniper rifle that has high slag chance is going to be better than a purple one with a lower slag chance. So forget the rarity with your slag weapons, just look at the slag chance. With your grenades, the anti-fection is fantastic, but if you're versing robots, it's not going to do much. The electric chair may be more useful in those fights because you'll get more healing from the electric chair than you will from the anti-fection when you're versing someone that's resistant to fire. Also have a corrosive fastball, which can be good for nuking single targets. Same with the incendiary fastball and the firestorm. If you want to spam grenades, the firestorm's a better option because you will never run out with that thing. So that's this build. if there's anything you feel like I've forgotten to mention, please put it in the comments. But the idea of it is to tank damage. It does deal enough damage to be viable, but if you want to deal damage, there are other builds for that. This guy is just to absorb the damage and run for as long as he can in a fight. Give it a go. I hope you have a bit of fun with it. I had fun making him, had fun running with him. I probably enjoyed the Bloodlust Melee Psycho a little bit more because it just felt more powerful. But this guy, he's pretty useful. Anyway, enjoy.